Excellence breeds excellence and success breeds success. So by making your club more successful, inevitably you're going to grow future leaders. And that's what our organization needs. Our attitude is simply, we are sharing and serving. I've grown so much as a result of being a Toastmaster, so has each one of us. So why would we keep that to ourselves? Value exchange has to be there. You have to make them so happy. They came to your meeting in person or they gave you their time online, but that return on investment for their time has to be so good that they think, I'm not going to miss this next week.
Well, dear listeners, today I can hardly believe the words that are going to come out of my mouth as to who our guest is today. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to this virtual podium International President-elect Aletta Rochat. DTM Aletta, welcome to Toast Talks with CoachBusi.
Thank you so much, Busi. Lovely to be with you.
You have no idea. I am having to contain myself. Normal me would go, hey, she said yes. But dignified me will say, what an honor for you to have agreed to have this conversation with us.
Well, I'm delighted to be here, Busi. So whether you dial it up or you dial it down, it's fine by me.
This is all good. I think it's going to be a mixture. But I have questions that I have gathered up from people who want to know a lot more about you. But my authentic first question is always, what is your Genesis story? How did you become a Toastmaster? What was your first club? Walk us through that beginning.
Busi, I don't think I'm typical. Most people you speak to, they wanted to improve their public speaking or they had a big assignment at work or a wedding speech to deliver. So it was the speaking or wanting to improve their speaking that drew them in. For me, it was a little bit different. I'd always been a confident public speaker. It was just something that was always my happy place, never struggled with it. But I have a confession to make. I was actually running away from my kids. I joke that that's what took me to my first Toastmasters meeting. I have 3 beautiful children, and at the time they were ranging in age from probably 11 to 15. And they were getting more independent, and I had a little bit more time than I had in the prior years. And I wanted something that was just for me, that had nothing to do with being a wife or a mom. And in the background of my head, I'd heard about Toastmasters, but I'd never met a real live Toastmaster. So I did a Google search and 2 clubs came up. There were many, many more, but at that time, only 2 came up on my search. And I chose the one that was more convenient. And boy, did I luck out, because little did I know that when I stepped into Cape Town Toastmasters, it was a well-established club. I think it was chartered in 1985. We had 2 past district governors in the club. There was a depth of talent, a depth of leadership. And within probably the first 2 minutes of that meeting, it became very evident to me that I could learn and I could grow there. And that's always been something that's appealed to me. So I was hooked. And, from then on, that was where my journey started. That's still the club I'm a member of today. At one point, I was a member of another advanced club, but then I decided, you know what? I want to give everything to one club. My life is quite busy. And when I was a member of 2 clubs, I always felt that I was almost failing the one, or having to choose between the 2. So eventually I decided I'm a one club wonder, and I just love my club to bits. And that's where I still am to this day.
Shout out to your first club. And now they have kudos to be able to say that they have the next incoming international president. What
Absolutely.
a joy. What
Yeah.
a joy.
And, It's so humbling for me because I will be the first person from Africa to become international president. So that's deeply meaningful to me. It's deeply meaningful to the people around me. But what I'm grateful for is I grew up in District 74 and now we've reformed into 74 and 129. But everything I learned here. So that excellent club and that growth-driven district that I eventually stepped up to lead, those were the incubators for anything that I'm doing now. So I'm deeply grateful that, as I say, I was lucky enough to stumble upon a really solid club that has been President's Distinguished, I think, every year for over 21 years. And just remarkable. And we're very proud of that. And we work hard to make sure we maintain it. But all I'm saying is excellence breeds excellence and success breeds success. So by making your club more successful, inevitably you're going to grow future leaders. And that's what our organization needs.
Love that. Now, you say 21 years, President Distinguished.
Yeah.
That's...
So you can imagine the pressure as club president. Nobody wants that not to happen on their watch. And of course, this coming year, we've now got an opportunity to achieve the new Smedley Smedley Distinguished Club. And to achieve that, it has to be 25 members and all 10 goals. So I'm going to be speaking to my club saying, come on, are we up for this? Can we push ourselves that much further and become a Smedley Distinguished Club? It would make us very proud.
That is awesome. Now, my club, Global Women Extraordinaire, we've been around since 2021, and we have that President Distinguished accolade as well for now. Now, exactly as you're saying that for every president stepping in, it's like not on my watch. I was the charter president. And that then handed over to Hao, and she did a great job. Shungu carried on, and now we have Wadzanai, and we are already on 10 goals, and we are heading
well done. Congratulations. Yeah. And it's so good to be part of a club that sets high expectations up front. Years ago, Lance Miller had a club membership building program. On those days, it was on CDs, and our district bought them. And if you get a chance, you can probably Google it, but his club said, distinguished is only the beginning. What more can we do? How much further can we go? And that was the mindset of his club. And it's the number of educational awards that club achieved were phenomenal because they set their expectations even higher than our distinguished club program. So I think there's a lot of leadership lessons there and a lot of life lessons in terms of let's set the bar high and let's work collectively, because when the club is successful, all of us are more successful. So there's an immediate benefit.
That is so true. And this teamwork is what really makes the dream work. Once you have a president with an exco that is hands-on, and you're all pulling in one direction, making sure the club members are getting value. For me, that is something that has been working. What other tips would you have for clubs? You way ahead of ours, so I'm all ears at this point. What other tips have helped your club to remain this A-class, top-notch club?
I think we take our guests very seriously. We make a big fuss of them. We make sure that they are welcomed. We make sure there's somebody sitting next to them who can answer questions. At the end of the meeting, we ask them in front of everybody, what was your experience like? And almost inevitably, they just say, oh, I was blown away, much different to what I expected. I really enjoyed it. And then we follow up straight away and say, well, you've seen what we can offer. Would you like to join? So some people have a hesitancy to do that. They kind of think, oh, that's selling, that's pushing, that's so aggressive. Our attitude is simply, we are sharing and serving. I've grown so much as a result of being a Toastmaster, so has each one of us. So why would we keep that to ourselves? Why not make it available to anybody who walks in the door? If they've come to the meeting, they've already told you they're interested in what you are selling. So if selling is a thing, then just say to yourself, well, I'm sharing the opportunity with them and I'm ready to serve them as a fellow member. And the other day I was in a meeting, and it was a new club that I'm a sponsor and mentor for, corporate club. And as we started the meeting, and I heard people say, fellow Toastmasters, and I heard that term, fellow Toastmasters, a couple of times. And I thought to myself, that is such a beautiful phrase, because if you are a fellow Toastmaster in the same club, we are here to serve one another, to learn from one another, to support one another. And that's what it's all about. So why wouldn't I want to have as many people come to my club as possible? Because then we can share and serve more people. So I really think, I often say, people are busy. There's 1,001 things they could be doing instead of coming to your club meeting. So the value exchange has to be there. You have to make them so happy. They came to your meeting in person or they gave you their time online, but that return on investment for their time has to be so good that they think, I'm not going to miss this next week. And that, if you can get that right, that's, I think, a large part of what we offer. Give them so much value, and then they'll keep coming back.
I love that. You mentioned happy place. It sounds like you and I are twins, because anyone who's listened to the podcast understand that I keep saying Toastmasters is my happy place.
Oh, yeah.
I literally come alive. I'm energized when I'm at a Toastmasters meeting. Quick story. When I joined Toastmasters, it was in the middle of COVID. So we were now going online. And my husband was so excited to see how I was happy and coming alive and having all these speaking opportunities. He was my biggest cheerleader, and he would be on the bed as I delivered speeches. And as an English major, he would give me corrections and things like that. Fast forward, I then lost him August 12, 2021.
I'm sorry.
And bittersweet, but again, my Toastmasters journey is sort of intertwined with my life, because 12 August 2024, I started this podcast. Again, because it's my happy place. And I sense the joy that we had when we were together. And today, why I am so excited to be recording this with you today would have been our 24th wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow. How special. A lovely way to celebrate. And he would be smiling, you know that.
Thank you for saying that. That's like a hug from heaven. I'm sure he would. And he'd be like, oh, babe, trust you to be doing this. This is Toastmasters.
Yes, exactly.
What are we going on about? Anyhow, back to you. Apart from being president, international president-elect, you are also an author and you are a speaker. Tell me how being a Toastmaster has been helpful in all the things that you are doing. They sound absolutely amazing.
Busi, when I joined Toastmasters, I had been a stay-at-home mom for about 11 years, probably even more. I haven't bothered to do the math. My prior career was in marketing management and working for multinational companies. And when I came to Toastmasters, it almost put me in touch with that working woman I'd left behind when I started a family. So I just loved it. And all those skills that I had in marketing, I could now use for my club and then eventually for my district and so on. So it was incredibly enriching for me to just get in touch with that old me who I'd left behind, when I had the privilege of being a stay-at-home mom. The unintended consequence of that was I remember doing PR for my club, and my telephone number was the contact number for people who were making inquiries. And this lady phoned and, inquired about our meeting. And I said, well, come along, and gave her all the details. And then she said to me, I'm calling on behalf of my boss. He's too busy to come to your meeting. Can't you just help him? And in the moment I said, yes, sure, I can, not really knowing exactly what I was doing. But anyway, to cut a long story short, he became my first coaching client. And I didn't even know there was such a thing as a presentation skills coach. But Toastmasters opened the door for that. And he was my first. And then over time, people heard what I was doing. And I've got more and more clients. I've published 2 books on public speaking. I've got an international client base. I now coach everything from presentation skills to interview skills to executive presence coaching. None of that would have happened had I not run away from my kids all those years ago and gone to this most extraordinary club. So Toastmasters has been a catalyst for me to give me opportunities I would never, ever have had otherwise. And because I love what I do, I've always been fascinated with communication. To give you a short story, as a child, we traveled a lot because my dad was in mining. So by the age of 8, I was on my third different continent. You know, I was always the kid who was joining midway through the year, the one with a funny accent, the one that was trying to fit in. And I had 8, by the time I was in grade 7, I was in my 8th school. So you can see the pace. So as a child, I learned inadvertently how important it was to communicate, and how if you wanted to integrate into that new class or that new community, you had to listen before you spoke. And years later, having the opportunity to coach people, I found I was using those same skills now coaching adults and whoever came to me for assistance. So Toastmasters helped me leverage my life experience and build a business as a coach and as a trainer. And it is my happy place. So it doesn't feel like work for me.
Right. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that story about when you were 8, you were on your third continent, because I did see somewhere in the writings that you called yourself a nomadic child. You had a nomadic childhood.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, we were continuously moving. And I think I was in my mid-40s before I was in the same place for 5 years, because after I got married, my husband was transferred to Pennsylvania for a while, and we went back to South Africa. Then we were in London for 4 years, and we came back to South Africa, and then we moved to Cape Town. So even as an adult, I've had the privilege of moving and meeting new people. And because I was so used to it, it was no big deal for me. I know I can cope. I know I know how long it takes and how much energy it takes. And I've never found a place that I haven't found friends. So I just know that wherever life takes me, I will integrate.
Wow. And that is a superpower, I tell you. There's so many people who don't know how to pivot or integrate and adapt to new skills and places. In Toastmasters, what would you say to someone who is... I had a call actually over the weekend from a new president. And I had been a grammarian at her club, and she called me and said, "You did such a stellar job. I would like to know, how did you become this invested in Toastmasters, and how do you do what you do?" Then I said to her, "What is the real question that you have behind that?" And she says, "I don't know how to get as involved, and I want to be passionate about Toastmasters the way you are." Now, I would like to know, how would you have answered this question if she was speaking to you?
It's a really good question, because you've got two choices. You can look at the opportunity to serve your club or your district in Toastmasters and look at it and say, "I haven't got the time. I'm already busy. You've got no idea how busy I am. And, this is not for me." And that is a choice. And it's not an illegitimate choice. It's a very valid choice in many circumstances. Right. On the other hand, you can take the attitude, "I'm here to learn. And I'm not going to learn by being a spectator. I've got to learn by suffering from what I call helium hand. And my hand magically goes up when people are asking for volunteers. And it's been that way since I was a child. So the hand magically goes up and you say yes. And often you don't even know what you're getting into. But if you're willing to learn and you're teachable and coachable and you're willing to give, the return on investment for whatever you sign up for is always triple, quadruple what you put in. So I've always been naturally curious. And, when I was at school, especially when I was at boarding school, I'd put up my hand for anything to get out of the hostel because we weren't allowed out that often. Then I went to Canada as an exchange student, and I put up my hand to go to speak to anyone who would listen and tell them about the country I came from, again, to meet new people. So I find that when you say yes and you're just willing to show up and learn whatever it is, because none of us knows everything. So you don't need to know everything when you sign up. Just say yes and be willing to learn. Then it enriches your life. You meet people you'd never meet before. You develop skills you didn't know you needed, and you will surpass your vision of what you are capable of. But it always comes after raising the hand. You can't sit back and expect this growth if you're not willing to get in and take a risk and learn new things. So for me, that's the reason I keep raising my hand to this day, because I'm still learning, I'm still having fun, I'm still meeting cool people every day of the week. I mean, you and I wouldn't have met each other if I hadn't have said yes. So it's just, to me, it's a philosophy to life. And I want to grow old still saying yes and, rather than I'm too busy, sorry. I want my world to keep on getting bigger. I don't want my world to shrink. And by raising your hand at club or at a meeting or when people are saying we need an area director, put up your hand. You've got no idea how much you're going to grow and benefit. But first step is the helium hand.
That helium hand. I've taken note. I'm taking that on for myself. Well, I typically do that as well. So it's just now I have a name to what I do. Is that helium hand. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I also enjoy about Toastmasters. As your world expands, so does your vocabulary, your thought process is also changed. For a lot of people who, for English is a second language, I am baffled that people don't want to come to Toastmasters, because when you've had the grammarian give you feedback, you're like, is that what I've been saying? One thing I learned that absolutely tickled me. I thought I spoke pretty well. And at one meeting, someone said, do you understand that the word conversation, you pronounce it conversation, you put a Z, and it's literally something that is done a lot by Zimbabweans. And I was unaware because as a people, it's conversations, And then someone picks it up and you're like, let me listen out when other people are speaking. You're like, no, this is for my tribe. This is Zimbabweans, this we say, but that's not the international gold standard.
Anyhow, and grammarians are so important. I mean, I remember clearly one day a grammarian gave me such a big gift, and she said to me, Aletta, well done. No ums and ahs, but you used the word now 14 times in your speech. And I was blissfully unaware, but once she put on that light bulb for me, I was able to start working on it. And that's the gift we give one another, is that ability to reflect back to you what you're unaware of. And that is the precursor to growth, is getting that useful feedback that you can build on.
Absolutely. These are just the conversations we're having with other Toastmasters about little benefits that come in. I love the way you say it's a gift. And it really is. Going back to your story, because I know I will not be pardoned if I don't ask this. At what point did you now decide, this top office, this pinnacle of the organization office, I think I would like to go for it? At what point were you now thinking, this could actually happen? And now you're about to make history.
Yeah. I'll take you back to when I had been in Toastmasters probably 2 years. Two things happened. Once, one of the past district governors in our district, I think I was district PR manager at the time, I'd very cheekily, I was looking for something on Toastmasters Day, and the information was about 3 years out of date. And I thought, you know what, I can help. I've got a marketing background. So I looked at the requirements. I saw I could apply. And in our district, we elect the district PR managers. And God bless them, they elected me, and I had very little experience at that point.
You did say 2 years in, right?
Yes, exactly. So I was very brave. And as I say, they elected me. And then little did I know that year, Pat Johnson, the international president at the time, was coming to our district for a district visit. So as PR manager, I got to plan her whole itinerary. I traveled with her, and I didn't even know that there was an international president at that point. But Pat was in our district, and she's the most amazing woman. And I think she inspired me without me even thinking about that at that point. But I've always been somebody who I've always had drive and I've always had ambitions. I've always just kept on saying, well, what's the next step? So after PR manager, I hadn't been an area director. I hadn't been a division director. So I went back and I was a division director. I was never an area director. And then it was club growth and I worked my way through the trio. And then after that, I thought, well, this region advisor thing sounds interesting. Let's try for that. And I absolutely loved it. And then I had 2 years as region advisor. Then I thought, well, why not try? Helium hand again. Why
Helium
not try? And ran for the board and I was elected and loved that experience. And then I thought, why not try? My attitude is make yourself available. The people will decide whether or not you get that role. And when I was elected to second VP, then that, well, even as you're preparing for that, that you're running to be a future international president. But you can't always think that far ahead. You just got to make sure that the role you're doing to the best of your ability and then learn what you got to learn and then take the next step and the next step. And now I'm kind of thinking, oh my gosh, where did the time go? I cannot believe that in a few months' time, I will be the international president. So for me, it was just a question of just take the next step. And Busi, it's not about the title. It's not about you trying to. I often get a bit irritated when people say to me, what's your legacy? What do you want to leave behind? And I always say, it's not about me. I'm a custodian of the role for a year. It's as simple as that.
Wow.
So let me do my best while I'm custodian of that role. Then I'm going to pass it on and hopefully set my successor up for great success. But I am the same me with or without the badge or the title. So for me, it's just about how can I serve this organization? How can I serve our members? How can I do my best today and the next day? And this is a continuous journey. And thank goodness we're only international president for a year and then we make way for someone else, because there's so many talented people who can bring so much uniqueness to this organization. So I just have that privilege for a year and then I pass it on, and happily so. Because my time is done and it's time for other people with greater talents than me to come and do their version of international president. And we do that at club level. We do that at district level. It's not about us. Don't get hung up on the badge because you can only have it for a year. Somebody else comes along, but you can find another way to contribute, another way to serve. And there's always some way you can add value.
Goodness, the mic drop there. My head is reeling because everything you said, setting the next person up for success, is not only at the top role, it's at every role in the organization. Role. If you're sergeant at arms, you do the very best. You make sure that everything is on point and set up the next person to be able to go higher.
Yeah. I live very close to a boys' high school, and one of their mottos is that they are brothers in an endless chain. And that always reminds me of Toastmasters. We are leaders in an endless chain, and we just keep on making way for someone else to learn what we've learned, to have that growth, and then they in turn, make way for someone else. So it's a beautiful way to empower people. And that's how I've grown and that's how you've grown. But we've each got a role to play. We can't just be a spectator and say, no, let somebody else run my club. No. If you want an exponential return on the investment of time and money you put into the organization, raise your hand and take on a meeting role, then a club role, a club officer role, and keep going. And the more you do that, the more you will grow and the better the return on investment for you.
In a way, I hear you saying Toastmasters is not a spectator sport.
Exactly. When I was a very new member and it came time for the club president to start calling for people to step up to club officer roles, I'll never forget her words. She said, when you join in the beginning, you're a sponge. You're coming there just to get stuff to feed whatever need you've got. And that's good. But she said these meetings aren't put on by fairies, There's a team that makes each meeting come alive. And if you want a real return on investment, you're going to raise your hand to be part of the team that helps these meetings, that helps all of us grow. And I'll never forget her words. And that was just a call to action. Our Toastmasters promise says we'll serve, our club when we get called on to do so. So it seems logical to me that would be the next step. Not everybody wants to go all the way up like I have, and that's fine, but at least serve your club. And then I challenge you to serve your area, because we need area directors. And then why not try division director? Because we need really talented people. And in that way, we all help the system, we all contribute, we all add value.
And I am suitably challenged. I have done area director. I have not done division. I am
not yet.
Not yet. Not yet, but I'm listening. I'm one to hear and take action. And this podcast is going to go out. So I have no doubt that at some point, someone's going to say, Coach, we are waiting.
We know where you live.
We know where you live, and we've got proof. We've got evidence that you said you would.
Exactly.
One quick question. Your beautiful 3 children, to whom we are eternally grateful that you became a Toastmaster. Did any of them ever become Toastmasters?
Oh, this is a hard topic, Busi. My husband's not a Toastmaster. Of my 3 children, one of them joined my club for a short period while he was in the country. They're now all overseas. They're all very accomplished speakers naturally. And I keep on whispering in their ear, go back, but I haven't succeeded yet. So that's still work in progress. I'd love them to go back because I know there's so much more that each of them could get from it. So it's work in progress.
Well, kudos to the one who got in, because
exactly.
I think there is so much that you can get even in a short period of time. So you did make the bug did bite at least one of them.
Exactly.
That is good. I'm also pretty sure that a lot of the other 2 have just been gleaning off what they see from you. So we are all
probably
good. I have one princess, and she is in my club. She also went out for a little bit, but she's back, and I'm excited because I keep saying that the world with more Toastmasters is a happier place.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a happier place. Where do you find people who one phone call, one text, one email, invitations to a podcast that they probably haven't listened to before, but because a Toastmaster has invited them, that brotherhood chain link is absolutely working. The network Toastmasters is phenomenal.
It really is. And I always say we build bridges of understanding between us because we've got the commonality of being a Toastmaster. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, we immediately connect on that level. And it's a very powerful, very meaningful connection. And wherever you go in the world, you can reach out and there will be Toastmasters. So that's, an added bonus. Yeah.
Awesome. As you step into your new office, August, I believe, what would you like us Toastmasters to know about what you are bringing in, or any message that you'd want us to prepare to receive you with? Because I am really excited and I'm raring to go.
Busi, as you mentioned, the pandemic hit us hard. And even though the pandemic is now 5 years ago that it started, we aren't even close to our pre-pandemic numbers in terms of members and clubs. So it's hit us hard. And many people have lost livelihoods, lost loved ones. And on top of that, we've had all sorts of geopolitical things going on that have made it tough. But I wonder what the Toastmasters would have said after the First World War, after the Second World War. We're 100 years old, after the Great Depression. It is tempting to say, times are tough. People haven't got money. They haven't got time. We can only do our best, but we're just going to continue losing clubs and members. Or we can say, I believe that this transformative experience we have in Toastmasters is worth sharing. And I want to find 20 people in my community that I can share and serve so that they can step into this wonderful world that we have. And if they are experiencing tough times, will it be easier for them if they're a Toastmaster to navigate those times? I believe implicitly, yes. So my message is, don't accept the status quo. Believe in the possibility of what we have to offer. Go find that friend. Go find that acquaintance. Go find someone you've never met before and share and serve. Just invite them to a meeting and then look after them and invite them to join. If each one of us can just grow our club and make our club 5 people stronger, and then grow more clubs so that people like you and I can find a place that's convenient to them, that can really make their day when they go to a meeting. If we can all do that, this organization will grow. And we owe it to the people who came before us, who set it up for us. We've got to set it up for the next generation. But it's you and I. It's not Toastmasters International. It's not the board that's got to do it. The magic happens at club level. That's where the experience is. So if we can make our meetings vibrant and exciting and keep inviting people, and it's not the VPPR's job to do it. It's not the VPM's job to do it. It's your and my job. And if we each take ownership that this is so valuable, I want it to be shared with the next person, anybody who will listen, I want to share it with them, invite them, and then share and serve, then we will thrive. And that's my dream for this organization, that we continue to thrive through the efforts of you and me, the ordinary Toastmasters who are just sharing and serving.
You can count me in. I am definitely going to be doing that. And in a small part, this is what this podcast is about. There are people who don't understand just how much there is, how much depth and connection and network. It's my happy place, and it is so fulfilling. They are, you walk out having fellowship with people who are interesting, knowledgeable, who will stretch you, give you feedback. The lady who I was speaking to over the weekend, we only met in one meeting. And the next call that we had was an hour long, with her asking me questions back and forth, back and forth. And she says, this is an eye-opener. I said, go to ToastTalks with CoachBusi. You will find stories on that podcast, because every member has a story.
Absolutely. And I believe that the more we share our success stories, the more people will join, because they're not joining to get a choice of so many pathways. They're not joining to, some people said to me, oh, it sounds like work. You've got a meeting, there's an agenda, you do a presentation, you get feedback. It sounds like work. No. But if I go to that meeting because I'm going to grow in confidence every time I speak, and I'm going to get real-time feedback, and I'm guaranteed applause, and I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to emerge a more competent person, and I take that confidence back to my family, my community, my career, that's what we're selling. The transformation opportunity. That is us in a nutshell.
That is us in a nutshell. And the other thing that I'll quickly touch on is how we actually monetize when you've done the work from being a Toastmaster.
Exactly. Yeah.
Listening to your story, not even planned, but that's
exactly.
You now have this job, this career that is fulfilling.
Exactly.
And profitable. And all for
yes, 60. And it's a really amazing return on investment. But Toastmasters is a catalyst for success and opportunity. So the more you get involved, the more success and opportunity you're going to attract, and the more fun and more enriching your life is going to be.
Aletta, I have had the time of my life. I still can't believe that I am speaking to you. And I can't wait for August to kick in so that I can see you flourish in this new space.
Oh, well, thank you, Busi.
It has been wonderful. And I wish you nothing but the best. I know that the globe will come and rally behind you, but closer to home, Africa is absolutely behind you and wanting to say, let's do this. And absolutely, I know that we're going to do this.
We will all do it together. And to you and your listeners, Busi, may your clubs thrive this year, because each one of you shares and serves and just believes that what we have is so valuable that you can't keep it to yourself. So thank you for this opportunity. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you. The pleasure has been all mine. Dear listeners, I've told you, you never know who's going to be coming to this podcast. And you will get to know DTM Aletta all the more when she is in that office officially come August. Until the next episode, stay tuned. Bye-bye.